Hi, it's the 9th of July 2018. I'm not feeling that well, so I wasn't going to make this podcast, but there's a few things I think I need to say. First is about a comment that was put on, I think it was number 103 of the podcast, about novichok, and the person, I think it was AP, it's an account with no content. Interesting name is AP. So they was asking, what was my problem, that they diagnosed it was novichok, that's why they sent someone a protective suit. My problem is the timing and who diagnosed it. Saturday, according to Sky News, and I can only go based on what I know that has been reported back, is there was 2 phone calls, and after the second one they sent an ambulance. Now, there's a video which has come from an outsider, and it shows 2 ambulance men carrying in the man. The lady's passed away since. And there's a man in a protective suit and a mask. He's not wearing like a hazmat, so he's not completely covered, so I don't know whether that suit would even be good enough. But the fact is that who diagnosed, how did he get there at the same time as the ambulance crew on what they suspected was a drug overdose? So who diagnosed novichok that quickly? Was it the NHS operator? I mean, they are great, but they're not that good. I mean, I've been with someone who's had an autoimmune disorder, and it takes ages, like days, to diagnose what's going on, and even then they don't always know what caused these things. So over the phone, assume, we don't even know who made the phone calls to the ambulance, whether it was the 2 that were affected or whether it was someone else, but assuming that they knew that there were the drug takers, because that's how it's been alleged, then that's what's been reported. I assume that Sky News said that they believed at the time that the ambulance were replying to drug overdose, so that must have been what was conveyed. Now, we don't have that conversation between the NHS operator and 999 and the people who were making that call, and we can't, without that we can't see what information was passed. Maybe they said something like, oh, they touched something outside and then they got ill. Okay, that's fine, but then why was it reported as reporting to a drug overdose? The fact is, the story happened on Saturday and it was brought to us on Wednesday, and on that Wednesday it was when they disclosed it was novichok. So I assume it took a few days to diagnose by blood what it was. But you've got to then ask yourself, how did that protected person get there on the same day? Because he knew it was a nerve agent, that's why he was wearing protective. But also, if that was the case, why didn't they protect the ambulance staff? Why didn't they tell them, you need to suit up or you can't go in there? So the timing is my problem with this. And if you can't, the thing is, like, journalists will never ask these questions, and they're the most important questions because they seem so obvious. And when we've seen 9/11, we've seen Grenfell, we've seen numerous stories, the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, the weapon of mass destruction, world leaders lying to us, journalists lying to us, or at least not delving in deep enough, just following the story, just reporting what they're told. You've got to remember how journalism works. It's not like proper journalism, like actually checking things and verifying things like they would. If it was me or you and you were giving the story, they probably would do some checking on us to make sure it's verifiable. But when it comes to AP or Reuters or the government, they're handed pieces of paper and they just read them out. They don't care whether they're true or not, and we know that because look how they reported on Iraq and Afghanistan, and I'm sure there's people out there that don't even care, that still think that those wars were just, despite Kofi Annan of the UN saying they weren't, and that they didn't follow the UN resolutions. They was an illegal war. I don't think anyone can really argue that. There was no weapons of mass destruction. It was regime change, because that's exactly what happened. So that's against international law. But there will be loads of people that won't even question it, will still think that it was perfectly fine and the journalism was perfect, but it wasn't. The vast majority of journalism was just reading off an auto cue, and is that really what we want from journalism? The thing is I see this video that someone snapped on their phone, and I question, how is it possible that the NHS diagnosed that? They can't be that skilled. And yeah, okay, you may say it's in Wiltshire, it's in Salisbury, it's next to it, it's Amesbury, but I don't think that they think every drug overdose is a possible nerve agent attack, because that's what they said. So unless they're lying about the real reason they already knew, you know, like they'd already diagnosed it was a nerve agent, but they didn't want to worry people, so they've just told them that it was a drug overdose. Well, then they're lying to us, and lying is never, you know, I know that people say, wow, they don't want you to panic. Yeah, but then we think that then they're lying to us, and that's even worse, because then how do you trust someone who lies to you despite the reason? So yeah, it just feels strange. So that's what I was trying to convey, and I think that there's no problem if you see something and you think it doesn't quite make sense. Well, what's the harm in you saying that? Or are we all just meant to be robots and just believe? The other thing is Brexit. David Davis, the man who's leading Brexit for the UK, and Boris Johnson, who was the mouthpiece of Brexit when we were doing the referendum, they both decided to resign. Theresa May's job, I suspect, is not going to last very long. The fact is that they've made us look a laughing stock. The rest of Europe must be looking and thinking, oh my goodness. And anyone who's thinking of leaving Europe won't do it now, because they say, look at the mess they've made. Is just disintegrating in front. And I don't know whether it's on purpose, because maybe those in power are going to lose money if we leave Europe, and therefore they're going to make it completely not work. So people like me who did vote Brexit will think, oh, well, it's just not worth it, let's just carry on. Because look at the mess they made. It's just, if they can't organise this logistics of just leaving something and doing trade organisations, and they're meant to be the people who are, this is their job. If they're easily just to walk away just like that, then you're looking for them to solve the problems of the world, the problems of this country, the homelessness, you know, all the situations that Grenfell, health and safety things, all the things that are happening. You expect the people in power to be able to deal with. They can't even deal with this logistical problem of Brexit. And when they can't, they just walk away. Complete chaos. It just is very embarrassing, very embarrassing. You can't really say that, you know, the people that you vote for are worth anything. Because then, if they can't sort this out, they're never going to sort out the big problems that are in our lifetime. And that's probably why they don't get sorted, and they go on and on and on. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was what's going on with Flat Earth. I don't know what's going on, because Poncho Pete's account is gone, and now there's a tribute one, and I don't know where he is. And then there's now Beyond the Imaginary Curve live is completely disappeared. The videos that were uploaded are gone as well. I don't know what's happening with that. There's this other channel, Agent Detective, which I believe is Roxanne Glenn's channel. She was speaking on it. And they had this, they were saying that Dell is a nonce, which is a child molester. They were saying that Gav is a cunt. Excuse my language, I'm just reporting what they said. And they said that Merle Beauregard is a faggot. And they also said that Dell was a faggot in another video. I don't understand how people can use these terms because they are loaded terms. They're not very nice terms, and without evidence, it's not nice to be using these words, and I don't believe any of that is true. It just, to me, looks like an attack, and that's probably what's going on here. And I just don't understand. I mean, I know, like, Dow, yeah, he's quite aggressive in his behaviour and in his swearing. It's not something I like to do, but he has such a good amount to say. And I think this whole, like, John Smith, Globeline, Beyond the Imaginary Curve thing, and Roxanne Glenn, it's just, I don't know, because it just, I don't know why it's still going on and on and on. It's just, I know it's just like Lennon and McCartney, and like all these different things that have happened, like Russia and America. People, humans in general, find it difficult to let go of things, so they just carry on the hate. And yeah, maybe, I don't know, but it just seems like something's going on, because obviously Poncho Pete is 24/7 on all the time, and Beyond the Imaginary Curve is quite a big channel as well. For both of them to just disappear, it seemed like someone's attacking, you know, and it'll be interesting to see what happens to Jamie and Sheeps and Neeps, because they're the other two big channels. Obviously Joan Smith Global Eye and Roxanne Glenn as well. But it just seems like if anyone is believing in the fact of flat earth and discernment and stuff like that, then by losing these channels, it's not helping, because it seems like targeting. That's how it feels from me. You know I listen to Beyond the Imaginary Curve, and I listen to Poncho P and stuff like that. So yeah, you know, I like their content. Yeah, some of it I don't agree with. That's fine. Everyone, you know, like, I'm sure there's people who like some of my stuff and don't like some of my stuff. That's humanity. We're always going to do that. There's always going to be disagreements. You know, I don't like where all this bickering from both Roxanne Glenn and John Smith and Dow. It seems very targeted. It would be better if they just all dropped it. If they don't want to get on with each other, that's fine. Let's stop talking about each other and just stick to flat earth, because if you don't, then it seems like we're losing what our mission is. Our mission is, isn't it, to bring this to people and to make people think about things, whether they agree or not. That's up to them, but to make sure that people do think about stuff and don't just let it go by. But if we start all bickering with each other, then we're never going to get that done. And I know it takes a strong person to actually let it go, because sometimes it can be hurtful, the things that are said. Sometimes, you know, we all react. If someone calls me something, I'm going to feel, you know, aggrieved. If someone makes out that I'm a shill, or makes out that I'm this, that, the other, or I'm abusive or attackive or whatever, yeah, obviously you're going to get defensive. But there's got to be a time when you've got to swallow it and let it go. Otherwise, it's just going to destroy all of us. And there'll end up being no flat earth channels. And then someone's won, and the person who's won is the people that don't want this out. So I think if we need to sort of stop all this fighting, and actually just, you know, if you want to go to someone's channel, go to someone's channel. It does amaze me how, you know, I see even on now Jamie Brown's channel, people will be you know, berating him and attacking him. Well, why are you on his channel for then? I mean, if you don't like something, I mean, if there's a film and you don't like it, you wouldn't sit and watch it, would you? You know, it's fine not to like everything. You know, it's fine if you don't agree with it. Everyone's on a different path. Everyone's at a different time, and everyone's allowed their own opinion. That's the whole point of freedom, isn't it? Yes, there is this idea of objective truth and this, that and the other, but we all perceive things in different ways. And obviously different people have different mannerisms, you know, like some people are, you know, they're very loose with their language. You know, some have different accents. There's lots of different things, and some people like things and not, you know, so that's all fine. I'm wandering off now, isn't it? And I don't really have the answer, because I'm not here to provide answers. It's just, for me, I feel that it would have been better, you know, if people had got on, or at least stopped talking about each other, we'd have a lot more stuff on there that, you know, people can actually get the information from. Anyway, that's enough. Take care, take it easy, God bless, and peace.